Hi, and welcome to this week's Your Omaha High with Andy Greenberg. This week we're going to be talking about superheroes. And when you hear the word superheroes, what do you think of? By the way, if you're not thinking about yourself, you just have to stick around when you get to listen to these two individuals who are themselves superheroes. They look like plain individuals, but they have actually won a major contest. When you get introduced to Jason Desenbrock and Dave DeMarco, you will have an opportunity to learn so much about what you can do to be the best in the world. Because you know, on this show, Your Omaha High with Andy Greenberg, you're going to meet very interesting people. You're going to learn about 4 new motivational vignettes that are going to change the way you live if you let them. And we're also going to introduce you to a magnificent nonprofit organization right here in Omaha, Nebraska that does great work. So hold on, you're going to see a great show that's going to turn you into somebody special and take you out of your identity and do terrific. So let's start off right now, and we're going to be talking about the grass is always greener. Now, what does that mean? How often have you looked outside the window and you've seen your neighbor's lawn and you've said to yourself, my gosh, that lawn is so green. Look at mine. It's brown. It's dilapidated. It looks terrible. Even if yours is green, you get jealous of the person whose grass is right across the street from you. And what do? You get angry, you seize, you get jealous. You begin to ask yourself, why isn't my lawn as good as that person's? You've all been through it. Well, I'm going to share a secret with you as to why that grass and lawn is greener, and that secret is going to help you not only get a lawn that everybody's going to look at, but it's going to help you understand what you need to do to be a cut above everybody else. Well, here it is. How does he do it? Guess what? This individual fertilizes their lawn. They take care of their lawn. They water it. They maintain it. They want to have it green and really remarkable out in the industry, because what they want is they want to look good. And all they have to do is plan for it, and all they have to do is execute their plans. And their fertilizer, that's like education. That's like giving it everything it needs, all the nutrients. And the minute you do that on your lawn is going to be as green. Now, in life, it's the same thing. You look at other people and you say, how come they're so successful? What's the matter with me? How come I don't have what they have? How come I haven't aspired to the level of success that I want to and they have? And you look at these people and you get jealous. And all you do is sit back and brute, just like you did with the lawn. But remember, once you put the fertilizer in your life, once you put the nutrients in your life, once you begin to water it, once you begin to take care of it, what's going to happen? It's going to grow. And then all of a sudden, what's going to happen with your life? It is going to be as successful, now scratch that, more successful than the individual that you currently are looking at in terms of jealousy. So you know what? I love it when people say the grass is always greener on the other side, as long as they learn how and as long as they take that opportunity to better their lives. Now, let's begin to talk about something else. How often in an office environment you go to the copy machine, and in that copy machine, everything's going well, and then all of a sudden, that warning light comes on. It might mean you're going to be out of paper or are out of paper. It might mean that the toner is starting to get low. What do you normally do in that type of a situation? You just wait around until all of a sudden all the ink goes out. Then you go back to copy something. Then you get mad. What the heck is going on here? Well, what you did is you avoided the warning signal and you just let it actually run out. Now, in life, we do the same thing, don't we? There are so many warnings in our life that says, you know what? It's time for a change. It's time for a refill. It's time for maintenance. It's time to go ahead and change something. And in our life, we do the same thing that we do with a copy machine, don't we? We just wait for the thing to totally deteriorate until all of a sudden there's nothing left. Well, I want you to realize something. When that warning light goes off in the copy machine, that is your time to do the maintenance. That is your time to make a change. When something goes different in your life and it's not going the way it's supposed to, and you get a warning signal, go ahead and change. Go ahead and refill. Go ahead and maintain. Now, there's another expression that people always talk about, and that expression is as follows. Do times change or do people change? Now, we all use an excuse and we say, oh, you know, times are changing and I'm just not up with the times. Well, you know what? That is absolutely not true. Because the fact of the matter is times never change. We are still in a 24-hour period. We are still 7 days a week. We still have 12 months in the year. Never, ever get fooled when people say times change, because they don't. So what's changed? People. People have changed. We are no longer cave people. We are no longer individuals who were way back when. We're the ones that made the change. We're the ones that changed technology. We're the ones that shape and change the future. It's not the times, it's you. It's me. But you have something to really begin to decide. When are you going to change? When are you going to lead that change? When are you going to be the superhero? By the way, you'll learn in a few moments you don't need superpowers to be a superhero, and that's going to be very important. You have to be the one that changes. You can't sit back and say, well, times have changed, I just haven't kept up. No, it's people that have changed. And you're the individual that right now can take that opportunity and change. Because I don't want you to be a normal person. I want you to be above normal. And you will be when you learn the three things that you just have taken a moment or two to listen to. The grass being greener on the other side, it's about time you rose up. It's about time you got greener by just adding those nutrients, that education, and that background. When a warning signal comes on, go right ahead immediately and make the changes that you need to make. And of course, remember that people are the ones that change. And it's the people that drive the change. They're the ones whose grass is greener. They're the ones who take those warning signals and make and shape themselves into a better life. And that is what you are all about. Now, one of the things that we always do is we have an introduction to a nonprofit organization. So, have you ever wondered which Omaha nonprofit focuses on children with special needs? In response to an unmet need in the Omaha community, two women with degreed backgrounds in education and nursing co-founded Children's Respite Care Center, also known as CRCC, in 1990. The CRCC Center is a unique nonprofit organization that helps children with special needs from birth to age 21. CRCC's day, outpatient, overnight, and weekend programs help infants, young adults reach their full and unique potential through an all-encompassing nursing, behavioral health, developmental, and rehabilitation therapy and educational supports. They have a magnificent fundraising event coming up on September 12th. It's called A Noteworthy Night, and it's set to take place at Creighton University's Harper Center Ballroom. The proceeds from the event will help the CRC's subsidiary program. Get your tickets and join them by contacting Amber Burke at 402-895-4000 or emailing her at aburke@crcc.com and please, .org, I should say. And if you want to have more information, go to their website, www.crcomaha.org. And now it is the opportunity that you have been waiting for. Superheroes. How do you know you're a superhero? I'm not going to answer that question, but I am going to let Jason Dassenbrock and Dave DeMarco actually do that for us, because here's what they have done. They have a shop here in Omaha, Nebraska called Legend Comics and Coffee. Now you might say to yourself, big deal. Fact of the matter is, they brought glory to Omaha because they recently won a magnificent award, and I'm going to let them tell you about it. Jason, Dave, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much.
And begin, please tell us about this award. What is it?
Well, it is the 2014 Will Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailer Award. It was created approximately 20 years ago when Will Eisner, the creator of the legendary Spirit, asked the Comic-Con organizers and the Eisner Award people to create an award for retailers. He said, we've got awards for writers and artists and all these other folks in the industry, but we're not talking about the people on the front line that are selling our product, that are getting our material into the hands of millions of people. And so they agreed, and the award was created. Basically, it honors the shop that best represents the industry worldwide every year.
Worldwide. So how many comic shops are there worldwide, and how many were competing for this award?
Well, there are approximately 3,000 or so comic shops worldwide, maybe 2,000 of which are in North America. From that bunch, I know that there was 37 nominees and 12 finalists.
37 nominees out of 2,000, 12 finalists, and you won. Before I ask you how you won, I want you to take me back into how did you ever get into this business to begin with? I mean, come on. I read comics when I was a kid. I read Superman. I read Batman. I was a fanatical fan. I read them during my dinner time, my lunchtime, and I was really into it. But come on, here we are in 2014. Why did you get into the business? And tell us about the success you've had.
Well, you know, it all starts for me back in 2007. My wife, Wendy Pavanka, and I started the store. Basically, I was working in the financial and restaurant industries, and I had come home one night I was just done. I needed a change. I needed to do something. And she asked me a very fateful question, a question that I always say it changed all of our lives. But that night she asked me, if you could do anything you wanted to do, what would it be? And I said, open a comic book shop. And 6 months later, we did just that. That was 2007. In 2010, Dave joined us as our business partner, and it's just been sky's the limit ever since.
I want to pause for a moment because there's an excellent lesson here. His wife, life partner, came to him, as many people have come to you and said, all right, if you really have the opportunity to do something in your life, what is it that you want to do? And you have this dream, but you know what? You don't do anything about it. And then years later, somebody says, well, are you enjoying your life now? I really want to do this, that, and the other. But we have a magnificent lesson to learn here, that when you have that dream, when you have that passion, pursue it. And then you get a business partner to help you with it. It's fantastic. So let's go on and talk about the comic book industry. So I always think of the comic book industry, superheroes. Superheroes, you know, the Spider-Man people of the world. So how many different comics today are superheroes, and is that the only type of comic that there is?
Well, absolutely not. I mean, there are maybe 50% superhero, maybe 70%. I mean, it's hard to put an exact number on that, but there is a wide variety of material available. I always say that there's a comic book for everybody. If you like to read, there is a comic book for you. Even if you have no interest in superheroes, there are amazing comic books out there.
So who's the king today? Who's a superhero today in comics?
Well, I mean, the most popular superheroes today are the same ones that they've always been. Spider-Man and Batman, Superman. Well,
wait a minute. What happened to Aquaman and Green Lantern and folks like that?
Certainly still popular, but you know, you still have to give the top slots to the Batmans, Supermans, and Spider-Mans of the world, X-Men.
Yes. And you said earlier that there are other comics in addition to those. So what are some of the other genres, if I may?
Well, there's a huge variety of comics out there. You know, The Walking Dead, for instance, the television show that everyone's seen, is based on a comic book. That comic book started 11 years ago and has just gotten more and more popular as time's gone on. Any genre you can think of, science fiction, horror, are two very popular genres of comics. Licensed properties, if you have a favorite TV show or video game, they've probably made it into a comic book. You know, a very wide variety of material.
So do all superheroes have a secret identity?
Some have, they all have identity. You know, like
they step out of character.
Right, but some of them not so secret, right?
Okay.
They'll just, their identity is just, that's who they are.
That's who they are.
Aquaman does not really have a secret, I mean, I
guess, you're right, but that's his physical appearance. I mean, you can't put him into the mainstream world. Well, but I understand what you're saying.
I suppose, sure. Sure. But it is certainly a trope of many, many characters. That, yes, you have to be, you get to put on the mask and go out and fight crime, daring do all that. There's a fun analysis of that Superman is not Superman, he's Clark Kent, but Batman, the disguise is Bruce Wayne, and the actual character is Batman.
Interesting. So I never heard that separation before, that analysis.
Famous dichotomy, right?
So here's a question for you. Each and every one of us have read a comic book. I know that. Either that or we've seen them on television or we've gone to the movie theaters. And we are so attracted to them. Why? Because deep down inside, believe it or not, we want to be like them. Because people have a tendency to look at other people that remind them either of themselves or somebody they want to be and are not right now. And I want to go back to something Jason said earlier. He had this dream, this is what he wanted to do. If you want to be a superhero, you don't have to have superpowers. All you have to do is do something extraordinary. All you have to do is step out of your current identity and adopt a new one that will either make you a hero in somebody else's eyes, do something spectacular that nobody else has ever done before, and then all of a sudden you are, you know it, a superhero who came out of their current identity to do something different. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Big Bang Theory. I've watched the Big Bang Theory. 20 million people watch it a week, and it is, of course, centered around the comic book industry. Has that helped the comic book industry at all? What's your ideas on that?
I'm sure it's helped. There's no Big Bang Theory comic that I know of. There's a couple of games. For the most part, I feel that the Big Bang Theory has allowed people who are not used to the idea of going into a comic book shop. It's kind of like a window. They believe that they can come in and talk about it, and it's a way of interacting with this, like a how's the weather sort of a question. I would like to point out that we are not the characters from the Big Bang Theory. I know very little about rocket science or brain surgery, but yes, it's a perfectly fine if it's your gateway experience into the world of like this awesome geeky nerdy thing that we do. That is perfectly fine. Come in and say hi, but then I'm going to talk about comic books at you. So that is a thing that's going to happen.
As you should. And the other thing I learned from the Big Bang Theory was Comic-Con. I never heard about it. And here you are, the award winners. So how did you win this award? I mean, what happened? Did you apply for it? What happened?
Well, we were nominated by one of our regular customers. Then at that point, they contact you and say, you've been nominated, we need to know more about you. And so we filmed a 5-minute video tour of the store, along with an informational packet of all the community activity that we've done, all the in-store events that we've done, and pretty much anything that would, deserve to be mentioned, we put in that information, sent it off, and then waited. and waited. And waited.
How long was the waiting period?
Oh, God.
Well, from the time we entered, I think, until the time we found out we were in the actual finals was about 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, somewhere in there.
So then once you got to the top, how many were in the finals?
12.
12. So what do you have to do once you're in the 12? What's the next step?
Well, what happens is that at that point, the judges meet at Comic-Con in San Diego, and they decide that week.
That's it.
They sit in a room, they watch all the videos, they pour over the packets that everyone has sent in, and then those 6 folks are tasked with picking the best store in the world.
All from the 5-minute video.
And the informational packet. We'd like to think the informational packet weighed a little more than the video.
What made you special? If you look at your own application, what was it in the information package that at least had you stand out?
Well, we have created a unique atmosphere, but I think that really, one that you don't generally see in our industry, but what I think really separates us, and the reason why we may have deserved to win that award, as they tell me we deserved, was the community that we've created around the store. We call our regular customers the Legend Legion, and they are Legion. I mean, that is no exaggeration. They are so wonderful, and really it is that community. We've watched relationships grow and blossom in the store, whether they're friendships or romantic relationships, business relationships have also been fostered in this store. People know that it's a place they can come, they can hang out, they can talk to us, they can interact with our staff. Our staff loves this stuff and they love to talk about it. And I say all the time, I get to talk about comic books all day long.
That's your passion.
That's the best part of it.
Now, how happy is your wife with the decision that you made?
I think she's very happy. I mean, I think she's very proud of what we've done.
Sure.
At the end of the day, and I wish she could have been here tonight, because at the end of the day, not only is she the inspiration for the business, she's the backbone of the business.
Wow.
Dave and I could not have done what we've done without Wendy.
I want to bring this to your attention because here again, just out of a casual conversation, they became the best in the world. Now, did it happen by accident? No. Did they understand what needs to be done in terms of the grass is greener on the other side? Absolutely. All they did was put nutrients and everything into it. They did things that other people didn't do. They're not running around saying, hey, you know what, the times, they're always changing. No, they changed it. They're the ones that went into the community. They're the ones that made the changes. Now, next year, what happens now? Can you go ahead and be nominated again, or do you take a different position at Comic-Con? What happens next year?
Next year, we get to be judges on that panel, so we get to decide which store we think has lived up to the lofty goals that Will Eisner set years ago. Once you've been nominated and won, you cannot win again. You've entered into an exclusive club, as it were. So we are happy to be part of that club, and we're happy to usher in the next store next year.
So when you judge, are you going to hold them to your standards?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And are you going to lower the standards because you feel sorry for them?
No.
Not at all.
No.
All right, so now let me ask you this question. You don't have a chance to win again. So what most people will do, they will become complacent. You know, we're in the top, we've won, all right, fine, we got it now. Is that the way you're going to continue to run your business?
Absolutely not.
No, I see you both agree on that.
I've already lost some sleep trying to figure out what's next. What's next, you know?
What can we do better? How can we make the experience more enjoyable? We have more eyes on us now. People who've been coming into the store saying they didn't know about us, they've saw us on the news. So we have to make sure that every person who comes in gets the same level of attention and the experience that brought us to Comic-Con.
And that's even true with the fact that you don't have any new awards coming. You cannot have it again. You know, I asked that question on purpose because how many of us have achieved a pinnacle in our life that we aspire to, and then once we're there, what happens? We become complacent. You know what they call that? Self-obsolescence, which means you're not going to have any value in the future anymore. You've reached the top. But just like they're explaining to us, they are not sitting back and, oh, you know what, we won, that's okay, the customers are, that's not the way they think. That's not the way you should think. Once you aspire and you win that trophy, always continue to change. Now, in your store, how many different comics are there? How many different comic books?
We have hundreds of thousands of comic books in the store. There are thousands of different titles that come out every year.
Thousands of titles. So
approximately 100 or so a week.
Well, this is interesting. 100 or so new comics a week. I think that's even bigger than Barnes & Noble or any other bookstore that's out there. They don't have an inventory that large. Where does the creativity come from to create these new comics and these new designs and the artists and everything? Who does this kind of stuff?
Comes from all over the world, and every successive generation just keeps raising the bar for the next one. There are quite a few talented folks coming up in the industry, folks that have been in the industry for 40 years.
Wow. So is it like video games where every once in a while, and I don't know the video game industry that well, but they're always coming out with new things. Is the same thing with the comics, and where do they get these storylines? I mean, enough is enough.
Well, you know, the technology, unlike video games, remains essentially the same. I mean, we are printing essentially 4 colors on pieces of paper like we've been doing for 75, 80, 100 years now. But in the storytelling, I mean, they say there's only so many stories that can be told.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
You know, just like music, people continue to come up with an infinite variety, and they draw from all sorts of inspiration. I mean, it's not always good versus evil, good triumphing in the end. I mean, that is a huge and large running theme in comics, but you know, so many more issues and themes are explored in comic books, and I think that's what keeps the wellspring of ideas kind of flowing.
Sure, interesting. So that's what creativity is all about, isn't it? Because we can become very stagnant. We can say, you know what, been there, done that. But what the comic book industry is teaching us is that you always have to continue to try and fill in the blank, reinvent. You always have to try and come up with a different story and a different angle. And by the way, that's not only for stories, that's in your life too. Because in your life, when you always reinvent, when you always change, when you always grow, and you come out with something new, what happens? You begin to attract people. So if somebody wants to learn more about the comic industry, the comic book industry, where can they find you?
LegendComicsandCoffee.com, on our Facebook page, Legend Comics and Coffee, and on Twitter, Legend Comics NE, Nebraska.
And I'm sure when they call you, they're going to walk in, as you said earlier, the Big Bang Theory sent me. You love that kind of an opening. And you said it's not a market for geeks, and I got that. So describe, if you would, the average, if there is, type of a customer that comes in and wants to learn about comics and actually buys them and waits for those new issues to come out.
I would say that our customers just run the gambit of everyone. We have teachers, doctors, children, professionals, everybody. I've never seen a more wide variety of people that would come into a shop. We hit every single demographic.
8 to 88 is what I like to say.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank your wife. I want to thank your wife for bringing glory to the city of Omaha for letting people live their dreams. You know, a while back, everybody hears this expression, follow your dreams. We talked about leading your dreams, and that is exactly what happened. And in Omaha, the #1 retailer in the world of comics is right here. So let's review what we learned this week. We learned about the grass being greener. We learned about copy machines. We learned about warnings. We learned about that people change. And we also learned that you can be the superhero, that you don't have to have superpowers, just imagination, creativity, support, the desire. And then once you get what you want out of life, continue to grow with it, continue to prosper. I want to thank you, Jason, so much for the valuable information and for the outstanding inspiration that you give each and every one of us every day. I think it's remarkable, and I think it's terrific that you put Omaha on the map. People hear the word comic, but no, seriously, you made us #1, and we are so thrilled, and we wish you the best of the future, because we know you're planning, and I'd love to have you back here 10 years from now on this very show telling us what more that you are doing for the community and for us. Your Omaha High with Andy Greenberg will always bring you new guests. And next week we're going to have a better guest that he will actually take you who won the Heisman Trophy. And when I say better, because this person did it with a complete team. These guys did it individually as compared to an actually complete team. And who do we have next week? We have Johnny Rogers, who's going to be with us. And I bet you that Johnny Rogers, and I'm going to ask him this next week, I bet you when I get right down to it, one of his inspirations was, in fact, people who read comic books. Oh. So I want to add to a little bit to it. Are you getting sports people in? You mentioned that you have doctors coming in, and do you get sports people in also?
He's a sports person.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody comes in, so, you know.
All right. Well, we want to say goodbye to everybody. Take care. We'll see you next week on your Omaha High with Andy Greenberg. And in the meantime, if you want to contact me, do so at speakingofAndyGreenberg@cox.net or at www.andygreenberg.wordpress.com. We'll see you next week. Your Omaha High with Andy Greenberg was sponsored by OnCue Marketing, Best Buy Benches, OmahaFastFoods.com, Certified Transmission, Omaha Magazine, Monahan Financial, Shold-It, NP Dodge Real Estate, Valpak, Kohl's Pharmacy, Centrus Federal Credit Union, Ideal Water,